It's the ultimate, the most entertaining match in Indian football. For over a decade, I-League and National Football League attendances used to increase dramatically because of the two derby matches, Mohun Bagan East Bengal home and away match. I mean the home leg and the return leg. So it is like it becomes a clash of cultures, a clash of history. There is passion involved. There is supporters who are firmly committed. There is always anticipation, media write-ups, and pressure on the players and coaches goes on for days on end. So it is the most significant event in Indian football. Whenever Mohun Bagan and East Bengal have met, whether in Calcutta or in Delhi, in Durand tournament or in DCM tournament, they've met occasionally only in DCM tournament or in Rovers Cup. It has always been a fantastic encounter because of the whole cultural, social divide that exists between the supporters of both the clubs, which has gone on for so many decades, and it becomes a fascinating match. Often it is not so much the skill that enables a team to win a match, but which team keeps its nerves. It is a clash of jerseys, and which team makes the least mistakes, because derbies are often won by capitalizing on the mistakes of the others. Sometimes it is a battle. Often it is not really great football at times, but it is the passion, the drama, and the excitement that makes it a great match. Best derby, I think, according to me, was, I didn't see it, but what many old timers have said was in 1957. The Durand semi-final, when Mohun Bagan met East Bengal for the first time on Delhi soil at what is now Ambedkar Stadium, was then known as the Delhi Gate Stadium, and Mohun Bagan led 2-0 at half-time. I remember it was 35 minutes matches in those days, and Jyotish Guha went to the East Bengal dressing room in late Jyotish Guha East Bengal dressing room at half time, and literally pleaded with the players that the pride of East Bengal is at stake and they should go all out in the remaining 35 minutes. And that was a phenomenal East Bengal forward line. Musa, Balaram, Dhanraj, Balasubramaniam. So they did go all out, and Kittu, and they did go all out in the second half, and they finally managed to beat Mohun Bagan 3-2. I mean, many old timers who've seen that match have probably said that it's one of the greatest exhibitions of football that they have seen. The sheer quality of football, because Mohun Bagan had an excellent defense. There were people like Sholyan Manna and others in their defense, so it wasn't a weak team. One of my first very good derby I saw was in '64, the Durand final, Mohun Bagan beating East Bengal 2-0, where Ashim Maulik missed a penalty kick. Otherwise, East Bengal played better. They had more chances. But two very good goals. Arumai Naigam, very fast. Chuni Goswami threw, he placed it in the first half, and then Ashok Chatterjee dived in between Chandan Banerjee and Sushil Sinha and headed in the goal in the second half. That was a very high quality derby, very intense, and Porimal Dev was brilliant for East Bengal, but created chances which were not finished. Ashim Maulik was crying at the end, and it was a wonderful sight. Jarnail Singh was consoling him. Jarnail and Kampaiya were absolutely outstanding for Mohun Bagan, as was Chuni Goswami and Arumai Naigam. East Bengal as a team was probably the better team, but ended up losing 65. Commentary wise, I would say the 97, the derby I did at Salt Lake Stadium, Baichung's derby, the first hat-trick. And the whole build-up to that was so intense, and it was seen as the clash of the two great coaches, P.K. Banerjee and Amal Datta. And Amal Datta had created a flutter that year with his diamond system, and the new, and also those sarcastic remarks he made about Baichung Bhutia, that he's like a kid. And I was told that P.K. Banerjee called Baichung home and made him, told him about these remarks. So Baichung was very fired up, and he scored a brilliant hat-trick. Again, Mohun Bagan probably had the better of exchanges. Chima played very well. They had their chances, but East Bengal got fewer of the chances. and took their chances well. And Baichung scored a very fine, although he has lightning reflexes in the box. Mohun Bagan had a good defense, but the sheer intensity in that match, the way the whole of Calcutta seemed to be involved, because when we landed at the airport, people were talking. When we were left, people were still talking about that match. All over the city, people were talking about that match. I think that has definitely been one of the greatest derby matches ever, because 131,000 people witnessed that match. I've never done commentary with such a large crowd. And like the whole of Calcutta seemed abuzz with excitement. The media, print media, especially regional Bengali media, did a lot of major role in building up the sort of hysteria for this match. So that was a great derby. And also then I think in 2007, I again didn't see it, but we heard a lot when Chidi Ade and others helped Mohun Bagan avenge that loss. And they won by 5 goals to 2 or 5-3. But I think the most humiliating defeat was the IFA Shield, 75 in the derby matches, because again it was a packed stadium. Salt Lake wasn't there, that was Eden Gardens, and 5-0 with Shyam Thapa, Shubhankar Sanyal, everybody scoring 1 goal. And it was very demoralizing for Mohun Bagan, because Subroto Bhattacharya has often told me that they had problems, even Prashun, who's now an MP, that they couldn't go home that night, and they had to be smuggled from the Mohun Bagan tent to somebody's house, and they stayed there and then went back with police escort. That was a very humiliating defeat for Mohun Bagan. East Bengal, of course, under coach by P.K. Banerjee, were absolutely brilliant in that match. So that was probably the most humiliating defeat, because in Baichung's defeat, when Baichung scored a hat-trick and East Bengal defeated Mohun Bagan 4-1, Mohun Bagan played very well. It was just that Baichung scored the goals. I think 5-0 has been the most decisive of all the derby matches. This trend exists, sadly, in which the club should be more professional and get over it. I believe Armando Colasso did try and make that difference, that treat it as one more match. But of course it's very difficult for somebody from outside. It's easy to say, but the passion that gets involved in this derby. I mean, Habib used to say often, Mohammad Habib, that it used to be so difficult to even rest in the rooms where people used to go off and book himself some seats in the cinema hall, and from noon till late night just sit in the cinema hall, sleep there, rest there, to get away from the pressure of the supporters. So earlier it used to be whoever wins the derby match wins the league, especially in the National Football League days, when for 6 years in a row Calcutta clubs won. Late 20th century, early 21st century till 2004. But now sadly that trend has not happened, and there seems to be more importance on winning the derby than the league, which is wrong tactics, because I mean the Real Madrid, Barcelona play, the English clubs have derby matches, but they get over it. They realize that the ultimate aim is to win. That keeps the supporters happy, it builds up your ego and value and is a statistical record, but ultimately what matters is the titles you win. So definitely they need to get out of that mindset. I mean, one remembers when Mohun Bagan won the league in 2002. Yes, in 2002. Or no, was it 2000? I think one of those years when the return match, East Bengal beat Mohun Bagan 3-1. Falguni Datta scoring 2 brilliant goals. And they were just happy on that. Mohun Bagan had won the league, and but of course even Mohun Bagan played that match seriously. Nobody wants to lose a derby. But no, I certainly feel they have to get out of this trend, because we've often seen, I mean, even 57, which I've been, what people have told me has been the finest exhibition of football, that derby. East Bengal lost the next match to Hyderabad Police in the final. Zulfikar scored the winning goal. They lost 2-1. Saleh Senior and Zulfikar scored for Hyderabad Police, because that whole emotional intensity that was involved in beating Mohun Bagan, they couldn't reproduce it in the match against the Hyderabad Police. And East Bengal definitely had the better team. I mean, Kittu, Balaram, Musa, Bala Subramaniam. I mean, that was an absolutely outstanding East Bengal team. Bir Bahadur, And I think Kempaiah was 56. Beer Bahadur was there definitely. Beer Bahadur, Ram Bahadur and all. So that was an outstanding East Bengal team, but they just couldn't produce the intensity that they showed in the Derby match. So this has been a letdown throughout. This has been a very common thing in the Federation Cup also. We've seen whenever they meet in the semi-final, the team which won through would end up losing. I remember even in more recent times in what do you call, both 87, 88, the Durant, what do you call it, East Bengal in 88 beat Mohun Bagan in the Durand semi-final, went and lost to BSF in the final. So this has become, in 87 it was the other way around. Mohun Bagan beat East Bengal in the Durand semi-final, lost to JCT. They just can't somehow bring that intensity back. This is a problem both clubs, I mean, definitely need to overcome.
Upcoming derby.
First result was kya tha? 1-all?
First, yes, 1-all.
1-all. No, very vital, I think, the upcoming derby, because after many years, both Calcutta clubs are in contention for the title. And I think it's for the first time since Karim Ben Sharifa was coach of Mohun Bagan, that period 2008-9, that Mohun Bagan are in the top two. I mean, they are leading the table at present. Otherwise, all these last 4-5 years, Mohun Bagan has always been struggling to get out of relegation. So I think it's very important. It's very important also, especially for Mohun Bagan, who are the only undefeated team in the I-League, the Hero I-League this season, that they don't get caught up in the emotions of the derby and treat it like a match only. A very important match, obviously, but it's ultimately a match in which even if you win, you get 3 points. You don't get double the points if you beat East Bengal in the derby. So the danger is not only just the tension, the emotional intensity. Players tend to get injured and end up getting yellow and red cards. I mean, what East Bengal last I saw, I mean, did that commentary when Ralte scored that brilliant goal, 1-0 in November 2013. And East Bengal seemed so charged up, and they thought, they are well on the way to the I-League title. And the next game they went and, they struggled against United SC, they lost to Mumbai FC, and, they just couldn't play the away matches after that. So that is not helping. So one hopes it is a good game, fast-paced game. It is not, affected by violence and fouls and petty fouls and stoppages. I mean, it's a fast-flowing game. Mistakes seem inevitable. I mean, one remembers last season also Gurpreet Sandhu, gifting the goal away. Ball fell from his hand and Sabit had just to tap it in. So hopefully it's decided by good football and not mistakes. But I think it's very, very vital, because the tendency is team which loses tends to get demoralized. And so I think Mohun Bagan's aim should be to at least ensure that they don't get defeated, because I think a draw here is absolutely fine. They've maintained that lead. They have to look to to keep their concentration for a few more matches, because Mohun Bagan does have a very balanced team, and this could be their year, which would be after very long, after 2002. This would be the first year that they could hold on. But I think this match will decide their fate, because in case they lose heavily here, they could slip. The confidence levels could go, because it's a young Mohun Bagan team, and unfortunately they'll be missing that Shehnaz Singh, who got into that quarrel with Carlos Hernandez. And it's a very young team, and though they will welcome back Sonny Norte, so that he can make a difference. But of course East Bengal also have Ranty Martins in full cry, and Ranty Martin is that rhythm player. Once he gets goals, he keeps getting them. One remembers with Dempo when he got 32 goals in one season. So once he gets into that groove, of course if Dudu also gets into form, it will be very tough. So it should be a battle royal, how Dhanachandra Singh and Bello Razak and Kinshuk Devnath and whatever the defense Mohun Bagan decides to play, how they will cope with Ranty and Dudu. And it is good to see young Debashish Mazumdar doing so well. I think Sanjoy Sen has done an excellent job. He's balanced his team very well. He's not gone by reputations. to bring in Debashish in place of Shilton Paul. He's choosing the team, the way he wants it. And despite missing Shovi Ghosh and all, Pritam Kotal is playing very well. So he's done an excellent job. His forward line can click. He has got a lot of depth there, more depth than East Bengal. The East Bengal have great players in Ranti and Dudu. But with Balwant and JJ Lal Peklua, there's much more depth in their forward line. So hopefully it's a classic match. And my gut feeling is it may end in a draw again. Because East Bengal, I think, don't have, that same amount of penetration, because the midfield seems very unsettled. Kevin Lobo coming off an injury, and there's no accurate passer of the ball from midfield. The penetrative through ball like a Pintu Chaudhary or Mohammad Habib or Kajal Mukherjee or, of course, the late Krishan Ude. They lack somebody like that. And so they're not being able to fully utilize the talents of Ranti and Dudu. Dudu is often to fall very deep to recover the ball, and so I think there'll be goals, but it could be a draw. But it's hopefully, it's not marred by violence and injuries to players. No, excellent chance. I think this is the best chance Mohun Bagan have of winning the title since they won it in 2002. That was, of course, a dramatic finish under Subroto Bhattacharya. I think after that, the only chance was when Karim, they had that unbroken record, that record of wins. But then they, struggled in the last phase of the league, losing to Churchill Brothers. That was that 2008-9 season. So I think this is the best chance because it's a very balanced team. But they have to maintain their nerve in the closing matches, especially in the away matches. Because, for instance, a match like against Dempo, where 2 days before East Bengal had beaten them by 5 goals, Dempo was depressed. There was no, players were injured. Athar Papas was leaving. Kalamangas did play, but it was an unsettled Dempo team. That was where Mohun Bagan should have finished them off. So that is going to be very vital. But of course the credit is that at least away matches they are not losing. And they are beating the Goa teams in Goa. So that is very creditable. But they do have some tough games. Sporting Club de Goa is now much improved. Playing in Mumbai is going to be tough. The artificial service. If they can hold their nerve and consistency, I think it's a very good chance. This is a very good year for Mohun Bagan. Because Sanjoy Sen has managed to, get them as a very balanced team. Though they didn't do well in the Hero Federation Cup. But they finally seem to be clicking. With, I think, Sony Norde now combining very well in midfield, as on the left side, and bringing a lot of creativity and wit into attacking speed, quick turn. And Pierre Boyer also, is a good opportunist. And of course, the fact is that they are not dependent on a few people for goals. Everybody is scoring. Yusa Katsumi, Balwant gets very timely goals. I think Balwant is a great buy because he's a very loyal to the club, and he's very hardworking. He's the person who will try all out and even till the last minute get you a winner. His form and confidence has improved since playing in the Hero ISL. And JJ Lal Peklua. So Mohun Bagan's probably their best chance. But the important thing is that they don't, happened to East Bengal under Trevor Morgan. East Bengal should have won at least 2 of those I-Leagues. That they don't concede, drop points against the weaker teams. Like East Bengal used to do against ONGC and recalls in 2012 and so many cases, 2010 also. Trevor Morgan's team was galloping to the title and they would just, drop these points. Even last season East Bengal seemed to be catching up with Bengaluru, but, that Ashutosh Mehta got that brush past Abhishek Das and got that equalizer at the Salt Lake Stadium. So it's these mistakes that if they avoid, which it will be very good also. Sanjoy Sen, a local coach, can guide the team to the title. It will be a big boost for Bengali coaches also. And Sanjoy Sen has been much underrated. He is a very good student of the game. He's a good tactician. He blends the team well. And I think creditably the management is not interfered too much this time. They are letting him have a free hand. I think in the Federation Cup he didn't have that much, and he's chosen the team he wants. It's younger, fitter, it's people who are not fitting in, whether it's a big name like Anwar or Shilton Paul and all. He's just dropped, and of course there's a bit of luck also. You have to stay injury free. There are crucial things like Shahnaz Singh getting a card. I mean, one or two crucial players, Sonen or well, he was not available for that match. If he'd not been available for East Bengal match, it would have been disastrous. So these factors, these are unknown. These are imponderables which nobody can predict. I mean, you end up, because there's a new rule of 4 yellow cards and you miss a match. So some crucial match in the end, you have one or two crucial players missing. So one can't say on that. It's a very close I-League this time. So it's really very difficult to predict. Though I do think the 3 top contenders are Mohun Bagan, Pune FC and Bengaluru. East Bengal just about hovering around. East Bengal have to get a winning sequence of 3-4 matches to try and catch up. But I think these 3 are the top 3 teams for the title this season.